Welcome back. These are the movies I watched in April 2024. So I started off by watching The Iron Giant. Just what a quaint, nice little film this is. This is a classic. I hadn't seen it in a while, so that's why I decided to rewatch it. I've only seen it like a couple of times, and it was forever ago. So I was really glad I came back to it because it's just such a nice movie. It has such a great story with really charming characters. And I think that's what I really admire about this is that it's a kids animated movie, but the main focus really feels like it's just on making good story and good characters. Whereas I feel like a lot of other kids' movies, it's like having just, funny moments and, trying to entertain the kids is a, big part of that. Which this movie is still funny and has entertaining moments. But it's just that they put their priorities on good story, good characters, and I really like that. Then The Lion King. Now, I know I just said that The Iron Giant was a classic, but this is like a real classic. Out of the Renaissance era Disney movies, this one's easily the most iconic. Everyone knows this. Probably everyone has seen this, and it's just great. I don't think this movie will ever get old because it is just solid in every single way, or even excels in many spots. It has such mature story writing that I feel like we'll never see again from animated Disney movies, just because, as they've changed and developed, it just doesn't feel like this is the type of movie they'd make anymore, which is really sad because this is just great. And then Aladdin, this is a huge and core part of my childhood. And now, because of that, this may be nostalgia talking, but this is my favorite of Renaissance era Disney. This movie is just so fun. The entire time I just had a stupid grin on my face because everything about it is so full of energy and life. And it's just a great movie. Every single song in here is great. Now, even back when I was younger, I didn't really like musicals that much, but I still love the music in here because it is just vibrant. And the whole time it's entertaining while also serving a purpose, helping with exposition or whatnot. And so that's just a sign of good music in a musical. And then on top of that, every single character has such strong personality. I think the one most people look at is Genie, especially with all of his crazy references, which I think people might feel like become outdated and ruin it later on. But I feel like you don't even if it's outdated, the references are still fine. And even if you don't get the references at all, I still think it's fun and it doesn't really matter too much. This is just a great movie. I don't think I'll ever get bored of it. RRR. Now, I heard all of the praise this movie was getting. I heard it was the best movie of 2022. And yet when I watched it, I was still shocked by just how incredible it was and how much I really loved it. It is really like the ideal blockbuster type movie and experience. I think I said something similar to that about Dune 2, and I feel like they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. Because while Dune 2 is more methodical, not saying that this one isn't, but they clearly have their differences. This one is like pure energy and adrenaline, and it is great all the way through. The two main characters are like literally just anime protagonists, and they are just so fun to watch. The action is so great and over the top, but it's still well choreographed, and it's weird how real it still feels despite just how insane the events on screen are. And despite all the insane scenes in this movie that can seem kind of silly, and like the dance and the musical numbers, this movie still has really well grounded emotional moments that still hit very well. I was extremely invested in the characters and all of their character beats and everything they were going through. And there's so many twists and turns with them that you just can't help but be glued to the screen the entire time. And of course, the music was incredible. I heard that, Indian films, it tends to be quite common for them to be more musically focused, like pretty much all of them are musicals in some way. And I was a bit skeptical of that, but they pulled it off so well. I don't know how else to describe it other than incredible. So yeah, I adored this movie. My only regret is that I can't appreciate it more, just because I understand there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of references that only someone really immersed in, Indian culture and, even the subculture probably, because I understand it's way diverse over there. So, there's a lot of stuff that I don't pick up on, but, I still love the movie. Orion and the Dark. This is a DreamWorks film, and that's kind of the primary reason why I decided to watch it, just because I think DreamWorks is really interesting. It's kind of well known that they have such a wide variety of quality of movies, so it's just kind of interesting to see what they do next. But it seems like they're kind of at a low point right now with this and Kung Fu Panda 4 just being not great. It's really just disappointing to see. This movie has such a strong concept and great visuals, but everything else is really, really lackluster. This movie is very just sort of feels hodgepodge together, like everything that came up on the spot and they didn't revise it at all. And, maybe that comes down to the fact that this was straight to streaming. Maybe if it wasn't, maybe if it was something that was going to be in theaters, they would have put more effort into that. But that could just be me, rationalizing something that's not actually real. But either way, it's just kind of a disappointing movie. Then I watched Song of the Sea. I didn't really know what to expect going into this, but what I got was a really well-told, emotional story. It was a really unique and interesting looking animation. I did notice that I wasn't as emotional as I feel like a lot of other people were, but that was made up for the fact that I was still invested in the characters. I found all the Irish folklore in this really interesting just because I've never had any sort of knowledge of that, so I found it really cool and new. And even though I say I wasn't as emotional as most people, the ending still really got me, and I was really impacted by it. This is just a fantastic movie. I really wish there was more movies that were made like this that were just really solid, unique animated movies, because it feels like we don't get too many of those anymore. 12 Angry Men. I always get scared to watch some of these older movies that I'm unsure of because I'm worried I'm just going to be bored throughout them. But I need to realize that when people love these movies, they're probably pretty great. And that was the case here. I really, really enjoyed my time with this movie. I was genuinely surprised. Obviously, I knew it was really well respected, but I still had a genuinely great time. I knew it all took place in one room, but the amount that they're able to do in that one room to keep you engaged the whole time is really impressive and really cool. I felt genuinely invested in this court case that they were discussing and invested in individual characters, which that was another thing I was worried about. I was like, there's 12 guys. I don't know how they're going to each give them time to really flourish. And honestly, I didn't think they would, but they give enough time where you can distinctly remember each of them, and I can talk about traits of each of them, which is really cool. It's impressive how much character building they're able to do with just like an hour and a half of runtime. But yeah, this was overall a really fun movie in a way, just constantly watching all the different twists and turns as they're discussing this court case. Really cool movie. Harakiri. This is the #1 movie on Letterboxd, and that's a big reason why I decided to watch it. I just really wanted to see why so many people love it. And I remember watching it at first, like maybe the first fourth of it, I was uneasy. I was like, I don't know if this is really great. But as the story develops, I think it becomes more and more interesting, and it actually makes the beginning better in certain ways by how it references back to it. And if you've seen that movie, I think you know what I'm talking about. By the end of it, I did think this was a great movie. It seemed like a pretty small scope of a movie. It's mostly focused around this one guy's life and sort of his story, and really not even his whole life story, mostly just a specific part of it. And I feel like that's really interesting. It leads to a pretty easily digestible story, and it's pretty easy to understand, which I was kind of expecting something way more complex for being the #1 on Letterboxd. And maybe there is more complexities that other people see that I don't see or don't feel, but that's fine either way. I still feel like it was a great movie. And those are the movies I watched this month. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Remember to save the blobfish, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.